When Absolute Green Lantern began, it looked like a standard alien invasion story. Abin Sur came to the sleepy town of Evergreen and began performing cosmic personality tests on the residents. But it has rapidly evolved into a ruthless war of competing cosmic ideologies, where the gold, black, red, green, and now pink flames define the boundaries of knowledge, chaos, restraint, action, and love. Standing above it all is Sinestro, head of the Black Flame, who also happens to wield the Gold Flame, and he seeks to force his ideology on the entire universe. Last issue, the conflict hit critical mass on both Earth and in deep space. On Earth, the traitorous Agent Double erased Agent Simon Badge using Simon's own mask curse, before Cameron Chase executed Double for his double dealing. In space, Hal Jordan used his newly unlocked pink flame of love to block a planet-destroying beam from Mogo the Living Planet, causing the witnessing Black Stars to question their faith. Horrified by this heresy, the fanatic Salak ripped Hal's heart out. Though Guy Gardner managed to build a new heart for Hal and bring him back to life, the real catastrophe unfolded inside of the Green Lantern vessel. Joe Mullen rejected Tomar Ray's cold mathematical plan to sacrifice 2,000 Evergreen captives as psychic bullets against Mogo. Instead, Joe attempted a democratic miracle by offering the green flame of correct action to the residents so that they could fight back. Her idealism seemed to backfire horrifyingly though, because correct action is defined by the wielder, and the first person to claim that power was Jessica Cruz. She was emotionally broken by trauma and years of neglect, and thought out loud that it might be better to align with Mogo and destroy everything. And that brings us to the events of this issue. As is customary for issues of Absolute Green Lantern, the more questions are answered, the more mysteries arise. As well as dealing with the current conflict between the different flames, the issue shows us the backstories for both Jessica Cruz and Sinestro. So let's start things off with Jessica. Now, she had been coming home from a trip with her boyfriend one night when they approached a car wreck. Standing at the scene was a man with a gun who had likely caused the incident, and he didn't want to leave any witnesses. While Jessica was able to drive away from him, one of the bullets hit her boyfriend in the head, killing him instantly. From that point on, Jessica became a recluse, rarely leaving the house. She took a work-from-home job and had food delivered. Whenever someone came to the door, she always braced herself, thinking that this could be it, although most of the time it was just the Uber Eats guy. But the last time she opened the door, there stood Abin Sur, who whisked her away to the interior of the Green Lantern. So you can see why she might have been deemed unsuitable for the Green Lantern faith. Her reaction to trauma was to hide herself away and shy away from the world. In the eyes of the Green Lanterns, this is not the correct action. The second person to get the spotlight is Sinestro. We're shown that he had once been a student of the Gold Flame who explored the depths of the universe. He found at the center the black hole, and it was surrounded by a multicolored ring. And not just green, red, gold, pink, and black, but cyan blue and yellow too. At the time he was called Thaal, meaning student in his language. The revelation of the universe's secrets deeply disturbed him, and he believed he had seen things that he probably shouldn't have. And I'm reminded of the mainline universe's origin for, well, their universe, where a guardian named Krona peaked at the dawn of time, and the act of doing so corrupted creation, essentially creating evil. But here, Thaal is just a boy. And from that point on, he became obsessed with the face of steel, as he calls it, and he crafts a crown that will presumably allow him to remain in contact with the face of steel. When his mentor suggests that he rest and commune with Mogo the Living Planet to calm himself, Thaal suggests that, actually, he was thinking that he could just take the lead now. The face of steel has communed with him, christening him Sinestro, and that nothing that lives can escape. And that's how he became a sort of space pope for the Black Flame. Presumably it was the dark void within the ring that informed him that chaotic action was the top of the totem pole. And now his more mechanical design makes sense. He is using machinery to deepen his connection with the Face of Steel, who I am starting to think just might be Darkseid. He commands fanatic devotion from most of his followers. When he sees Salak trapped by Guy Gardner and is being used as a shield, Sinestro reminds him what a true follower would do. He beheads himself. Sinestro notes that this wouldn't be the end of his greatest followers, but for Salak, that definitely seems to be. And Sinestro uses his gold flame to slice off Guy's arm and notes the great chain of murder that is in front of him. Salak was being used as a shield for Guy. Guy is shielding Hal, and Hal is shielding the lantern. Apparently the lantern is shielding something else, but Sinestro doesn't want to spoil that surprise. It shows us that Sinestro has tapped into the offensive capabilities of the gold flame. You'll recall in the last issue how, despite being a master of that flame, John Stewart can only use it in defensive ways. And that's not the only secret that Sinestro wields. He calls Hal a Tomar of the Unknown Light, Nos. He drops a few terms, including the name of their first Tomar, Oracles, but he says he doesn't have the time to get into that. And the good news for you is that I can interrupt the story to tell you who Oracles was in the mainline comics. He was a prehistoric Neanderthal man who was empowered with superpowers by the New Gods, essentially the first superpowered person on Earth. But here he is connected to the Pink Flame, and I wonder, given that it's seemingly unknown to Darkseid, if it is still connected to his opposites, the New Gods. At this point, Katma Tui approaches and says that now that Sinestro has defeated the humans, Mogo can just destroy the lantern and go about its day, leaving the planet Rann alone. Right? But Sinestro won't even entertain the idea and he stabs Katma Tui. I really liked how Sinestro's arrogance is displayed through this scene. When he addresses his followers, he takes the time to explain the origins of their name. Salak means law, Katma Tui means free, and when John protests, Sinestro asks him what the secret meaning of his name is. Perhaps it is Crybaby, he quips. Oh, how that made me laugh. But no, Stewart means guardian. Get it? John shows the true strength of the gold flame by using it to connect to Sinestro's mind, and the art style becomes a bit more psychedelic as Stewart says that what happens in our heads also happens, which is a very clear nod to the words of the Martian from Absolute Martian Manhunter. Sinestro may act calmly, but he lashes out using his golden power to dismember John, but these wounds do not harm him because he simply believes that they are not real, and that's his true power there. Sinestro took control of the Black Flame because he convinced people, one person at a time, to believe that they were being harmed. But John says that Guy and Katma are fine so long as they believe it to be true. Sinestro, for his part, admits that John is very clever, but his willpower pales in comparison to his own. And as if like clockwork, this is when Joe, Jessica and Ray emerge. They had a nice mature discussion off-page and came to a mutually agreeable course of action, involving a gun. Tomar Ray is the bullet, and he gets launched right through Sinestro's head. Sinestro tries not to believe that this is possible, but their willpower is too much for him, and he remembers his own mantra, no one escapes, including Sinestro, just as his brains are blown out. Without the controller, Mogo enters into a state of panic, unsure what to do, and that allows Jess to go to his surface and return life to the world. And now Mogo is a Green Lantern. As far as the Black Stars are concerned, the war is over, and in a way they have won. They are free from Sinestro. Mogo is no longer on a murderous rampage, and they can get back to living their lives. Now the issue ends with a devilish tease. We can see that the computer program that exists in the Zero Zone is aware that Sinestro is dead. It asks if it should assign universal control to a new element, but it receives a response saying to eliminate the unknown protocol, eliminate the anomalous activity, repair the local agent, is that Sinestro, and track the error. Witness to this is Emily Hawke, who we first met a few issues ago, but there is a new arrival, Simon Baz, and he wants to know what's going on. So yeah, quite a lot happens in this issue. Characters' backgrounds are fleshed out, more details about the flames and the religions that have cropped up around them have been shared, and a connection to the wider line of comics was made. At the same time, we're left with lots of questions. We know that Zero, at the centre of all things, also known as Bad Idea Number 0, is Darkseid. So am I right in thinking that the Zero Zone is his domain? Presumably the program running the place is the Manhunters, right? So if the Zero Zone really is Darkseid's domain and the Manhunters are reactivating, Sinestro's death is not the end of the war, it's just the trigger for an automatic reset. Absolute Green Lantern number 17 is available now from all good comic shops. If you've enjoyed this video, then stick around because I'll be back shortly with a video about Batman number 12. Special thanks as ever to my channel members, the Back Issue Brigade. If you'd like to see your name on screen in my future videos and get access to some exclusive videos, then join the channel now. Thanks for watching everybody, see you in the next one.